What's that noise? What's that noise you say? Oh, that's a dirt road, baby. There's some rocks. I'm out here grinding.
Steve Schlanger, Christian Vandeveld here on In the Saddle, and a special guest joining us today. It is from the EF Education team, Taylor Phinney. Taylor, welcome. How are you doing these days?
What's up, guys? It's great to be in the saddle with you, gentlemen.
It's always good to be in the saddle. Got to have you with us. And, it's interesting, looking at you on this device and the way other people are watching this is kind of the way a lot of people are getting to know you through these digital platforms. You make a lot of these videos for us at NBC, for social media. It seems like you're kind of taking to this pretty well, huh? It seems like you like it.
I mean, it's pretty accessible. It's very easy. It's in my pocket at all times. It's how I've communicated with fans of the sport since I was introduced to Twitter for the first time in 2008 or so. So it just kind of it's all that I know, really, as far as connection. I mean, it's not all that I know, but.
How about, speaking of what you know,
it's the easiest way to do it.
Do you have any artwork that you could display on in near vicinity of you right there, Taylor, where you're sitting in your hotel room?
I mean, kind of. I have this really weird journal in front of me that I was gonna just write some notes down into.
About this?
But it's all, you never know when you gotta take some notes.
So, all right, if you were going to write notes down right now, what would they be? What are you thinking? Worthwhile to write down?
Don't ask that.
I would probably
Don't
write
ask
down.
that.
I would write. I would probably write down in the saddle somewhere. And then I didn't know what kind of a conversation we were going to have, so it's just here. I just like to have it in front of me. It sort of like makes me feel safe in a way.
Well, I mean, you mentioned your Twitter following, and you have this creative process about you, and since you were introduced to Twitter, it's kind of just grown. Are you surprised by how many people have similarly, reacted to it and have engaged with you over social media through the last few years?
Yeah, I don't know if surprised is the word. I feel very grateful to have found a community of people that are just generally interested in the weird things that I do and what I like and how I express myself. And it's a big responsibility to have that platform, and I don't take that lightly. But at the same time, I like to kind of challenge not only people's perception of me, but my perception of myself. And I feel like you can do that with the internet. And it's
what's the perception of yourself?
At the end of the day.
What's the perception of yourself that you've challenged the most, do you think?
Well, I think I've grown up my entire life thinking that I was an athlete, and that was all I was. And through this career, I've been introduced to creative expression, and that's kind of started to take hold of more of my life than I would have predicted 10 years ago.
And going back to that, for the people at home, Taylor's parents, Connie Carpenter Phinney and Davis Phinney, both Olympic champion and very close to being Olympic champion, Tour de France winner, so he's a lot of lineage there. But speaking back to having almost two sides, I mean, you're one of the most well-rounded cyclists, at least, that I know of these days. I mean, has that been something that has come of age after your injury? Is this something that it's happened organically, or what do you think this all happened, or you just never really even think about it, just kind of happened?
No, I definitely think about it a lot now. I think I had whether I was cognizant of it or not, I think that when I broke my leg 5 years ago, I really recognized I was really forced to recognize that this career path, this career is not something that is guaranteed for me, and it can be taken away at any point in time. And I think I grew up in my career just kind of assuming, like, I just so assumed that I was going to turn pro and I was going to have a long career and I was going to do the Tour de France as many times as George Hincapie, and I was just gonna, it was just gonna come. And after the crash, I saw that very easily that could be taken away. And I felt that I wasn't doing anything to prepare for that moment where it could be gone. And so through the art, through the creative expression, through just the meditation practice, I just feel like I've been cultivating a different kind of energy, and that energy, not to get too like hippie with you guys, but that energy is very much balances out this really intense energy of being an athlete. So what I've found now is that those two things go hand in hand, and I race better and I feel better at bike races, having this sense of balance in my life.
Well, you know, I'm kind of dismayed. You don't think we're a bunch of hippies here? You don't think we have any hippiness in us, Taylor?
I mean,
we can't relate.
Everybody's got it. I know you guys get weird. I've seen you guys get weird, and so I don't doubt it.
Well, that's not a road we want to go down, especially Christian Vandeveldt's weirdness. We'll steer this back on the tracks. You know, it's interesting when you mention how you know, the injury forced you to, you know, look at things differently, and that you had not prepared for a life other than cycling. You know, once you come around to that sort of thinking, I know you say you feel there's better balance, but does it make it harder in a sense to re-engage with the commitment that the sport requires and to be as focused as a professional needs to be when you now know that there's this other aspect to life that maybe you hadn't tapped into before?
Yes, 100%. It makes the idea of what you think a professional needs to be and should be more difficult. But I've struggled with attaining or realizing this idea of the professional athlete, that I know how, you know, we all know, like, that we shouldn't eat dessert and that you should just train and that's all you should do, and you should sleep 10 hours every night, and you should limit all contact with the outside world, and you should just give everything for this sport. Like, we know that if you somehow could do that, that you would be just amazing at it. But realistically, we're all human. And some people are more capable of doing that. And if you are not, like, I find myself, like I said, needing that balance. You can either be okay with, you can either accept the fact that you need to have a balanced life, or you cannot. And I think mostly what I've done is just spend a lot of time accepting that I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and that's it. And as long as I'm happy and I'm able to contribute to my team and perform and just enjoy myself, I feel like, yeah, if I can bring up the level of the group, you know, that's the most important thing.
What about coming into one of the biggest races of your calendar year, being Paris-Roubaix? Do you shift that a little bit and kind of put that in the back burner, at least kind of focus a little more acutely coming into your big objectives throughout the year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely dream more about that race in particular. It's the only race on the calendar where there are no hills, and therefore the 185-pound Taylor Phinney is never at a disadvantage. So I love that. I love looking forward to that. But at the same time, you know, I need to be relaxed coming in, because the more stressed out I am, and then the more pressure I feel, the more I have a tendency to take myself out of what I'm doing. And if I can kind of like just allow thoughts and emotions and feelings to pass, and as they build coming up to these big events, like really taking that time to process, I can arrive at these events and I can be more present. And ultimately, if you are in the race and you are truly in it, that's what matters. And we have these races and this calendar set up ahead of time that is catered towards bringing me and the rest of the classics guys to our best form for these biggest races. So you trust that process, and then you trust the things that you're doing at home. And I don't change my lifestyle super drastically, but I have this point in the future that I think about and I genuinely dream about. And if you can't force yourself to dream about anything. So having that genuine passion for something, it's just respecting that and seeing it and not letting it weigh you down, but allow it to propel you forward.
You mentioned sometimes a cyclist has to have the mentality of shutting off the outside world to do their job well. But as you've noted, you haven't completely shut off the outside world. In fact, you've let a lot of it in. You also have a girlfriend these days. Where'd you guys meet?
What kind of show is this, man? No, we met at a bike race. Actually, we met in Qatar in 2016 at the World Championships. But it took about 6 or 8 months before I agreed to let her date me.
And she's a cyclist too. You guys have obviously the shared interest, right?
Yeah, it can be a little bit intense having two cyclists under two professional cyclists training full time under one roof. But at the same time, like, I understand her lifestyle, she understands my lifestyle, and I think at the beginning she was a little bit confused at the way that I lived my life, and like painting and making music and doing all of this alternative, all of these alternative things. But now she's into it. She paints a bit, and she writes poetry, and she's so good though. She's a lot better than I am. She's like consistently at the front of the race, and so it's inspiring to be around her and just to watch her work. She trains better than most male athletes that I know, more committed at least. And
well, Taylor, wait a second. I want to go back up. I'm back up like around 2012 or so, and I'm pretty sure we had a couple of conversations that this would never happen, that being dating another cyclist. What changed there?
I know, dude. I don't know. Sometimes you make promises to yourself that you gotta break.
Well, I would say that Kashabi is worth breaking, and I'm glad you brought that up. That she is good, because yes, Steve, she's not just a cyclist. She's a badass cyclist. She's a very good cyclist. So, is she bringing you up, Taylor? Are you bringing her up?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying not to bring her down, but she's definitely bringing me. She definitely, yeah. She's. I feel like I provide a level of balance for her to kind of touch back to the real world when the cycling bubble gets a bit too intense. And at the same time, she provides a really, really amazing example for me for just how to live as a professional athlete, and how to go to, she goes every race that she goes to, she's the leader of her team or one of the leaders, and she's expected to perform. she just takes that responsibility, and she cares really deeply about every race and about performing well for her team. So that's it's inspiring to be around for sure.
Taylor, let's close out the conversation with this. All right. For a second here, you're not a professional athlete, you're not a cyclist, you are in charge of the sport of cycling. What is the first thing you do in order to make the sport better the way you see it?
Dang.
Maybe one rule you would change, something about the way races are set up, anything.
I just spent like 5 minutes reading all of the rules about the races. There's so many of them. I feel like if there was anything I would love to have, I would love to take an event like the Tour de France, like the biggest event, you know, and just change it radically back to what it originally was, like 400K stages, and like everybody's like every man for themselves.
How could
and
you
just
do that?
force all of these. Well, that's what you're asking me, a hypothetical question that's impossible. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical answer that's also impossible. But I want to take all of these guys and I want to throw them out on the road just with their bike and with like some tubes strapped to their back. And maybe, just allow them to experience this sort of like competition, but over the course of a really long time, and turn it back into like this ultra endurance kind of less intense, but longer sport. I don't know.
Taylor, you're definitely setting the bar very high with this question right now. I don't know if anyone's going to come close to that answer.
How would you change it?
Oh, don't put this on me, man. You're right. It's a ridiculous hypothetical question. It's hard. I think you did a good job returning. But I would not want to be a part of the Tour de France in 1903. Let's just put it that way, though.
That's what I'm saying. It would get rid of the guys like you who.
Okay. I love the change of having. I love the change of having jersey numbers that are consistent throughout the year. So like it'd be Taylor Phinney number 99, and that's your number, and that's been your number for the last 6 or 7 years. What do you think about that?
Interesting that you think I'm a 99.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky.
Like the number 9.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be cool. I don't know how that would change. We were just talking about this actually at the dinner table. I don't know how that would change like the overarching mentality.
I mean, from my perspective is that my neighbor could go buy an EF Education Taylor Phinney number 99 jersey, and he could represent not just the team but yourself. So you could really like have a fine as like you're a true fan, just like you walked away with the Elway jersey when you were a kid, or even I would have a Davis Phinney jersey when I was a kid, something like that. And I think it'd be easier to really be able to see from the helicopter, things like that. But really, I like the fan interaction as well.
Yeah, I respect that. I think just some general freedom and personal expression within the team environment would be beneficial, to be able to just pick people out really from television and not have everybody on the same team looking like the same. But I understand that they kind of need that. I don't plan to get into management after my career, though.
Good choice.
That's good, because here we would be doing TV shows covering the Tour de France that would be 12 hours long every day. So you're shortening our work windows by keeping things the way they are.
Yeah, but it'd be like once every 3 days, we'd have a couple of days to stop and like explore the different areas, and y'all could come with us. It's not like this, there's no class system anymore. There's no riders, and we're all just the same.
This isn't a race, it's an expedition.
Yeah, this sounds like Bear Grylls, not the Tour de France.
Well, that's what the Tour de France was before.
True.
Yeah. All right, we'll make it a crusade.
All right, get back to bed, chill out. Good luck the rest of the week to
Thanks,
Say
Taylor.
to Simon for us.
Yeah, thanks. It was great to be in your saddle.
You're welcome in our saddle anytime. Until next time.